Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine. I'm your chef Basim Akhund. We're back with another new episode and a new recipe from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very easy and it also dates back to the Mughal Empire, and it actually got its name from one of the ancestors of the Mughals. The recipe's name is Chicken Changezi. As everyone knows, Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan as he was known in the West or in Mongolia, was the ancestor of the Mughal emperors in Pakistan or the subcontinent back in the day. This recipe was a part of the Mughal cuisine during the time of the Emperor Babur, and this recipe is very famous, or is more famous you could say, in the north of Pakistan. It's a very easy recipe. It will be made in two parts. Why? Because we need to marinate the chicken first and then we shall cook it. So you can see a lot of ingredients over here, but I'll tell you the first ingredients you'll be needing in the first part of the recipe. You would need around 1.5 kg, or you could say 1.5 kg of chicken. I am using around 1 kg of chicken legs and half a kg of chicken thighs. If you want to use the whole chicken, you could do that also, but this part of the chicken would give it a nice texture, and that's why I'm using it. So remember, whenever you're talking about this recipe, try using chicken legs or chicken thighs or a combination of both. Then you need salt. You need red chili powder, you need some coriander powder, turmeric powder, you need some oil, just around 2 tablespoons to the max. Then you need around 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, which I'll shred and I'll convert it into 1 tablespoon, and around 1 tablespoon of ginger shredded also, and around 4 to 5 tablespoons of yogurt. So if you actually have time, the best idea is to keep it for a minimum of 1 hour, but if you have more time, overnight marination would be good. But remember, whenever you're marinating something, always keep it in the fridge, not on the table top or on a counter. Why? Because the temperature outside is different and you need to give it a cold temperature. Why? Because otherwise the chicken could start disintegrating and it could go bad and you could get food poisoning also. Many restaurants do not care about this, but the good ones will always use a fridge for this process. Okay, so first what you need to do is you need to apply some cuts on the chicken, which I'll show you quickly, and then you shall make a paste of all of these ingredients, apply it to it and keep it. We shall put it for 1 hour. Why? Because we're doing a show for you. It's live outdoors, and for that I don't have that overnight privilege, you could say, but if you do have that, please go for it. Okay, so first what we'll do is we shall just take the cling wrap off and transfer the chicken over here. So I'll put the chicken thighs and then I'll put the chicken legs. Why are we making cuts on the chicken? We're making cuts on the chicken so that the spice or the masala we're going to add to it, the marination, it will go till the center of the chicken or till the core of the chicken, and then the chicken will get more flavor and the marination process will also fasten up. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just take a paring knife and I'll wash it later on. On the legs, I'll just add around 2 cuts, not more than that. I'll just quickly do this. You need to touch the bone. And if you're using your paring knife, please remember that you need to be careful about the blade also. Why? Because you do not want to damage it or chip it. So if you're good at it, might as well use the paring knife. If you're not, then you should use a boning knife or a professional chef knife, which is a bit thicker. Why? Because a paring knife is very sharp, but when a knife is very sharp and it's small, what happens is automatically the blade also gets a little thin. When the blade is thin, what happens is there's a high chance that the blade could chip. So all of these things I just keep telling you. Why? Because it's good. You'll get some knowledge and your things in the kitchen will stay safe and the life of these things will also increase. Okay, I've made cuts on the chicken. I'll just rinse my knife once and rinse my hands, and then I shall use it again. Okay, so it's over here. What I'll do is I'll just pick up the board and I'll keep it at the back momentarily. And when I'll need it, I'll bring it back. Okay, as you can see, there's a lot of tissue over here. There's a reason behind that. Why? Because when you add some tissue on the marble slab or a tabletop and you put your chopping board on top, your chopping board won't slip, and if it won't slip, you won't cut your hand. Remember, you always cut your hand due to 2 reasons. Either you're using some chicken or some form of meat or protein which is frozen and your knife slips, or the other thing is that your chopping board slips and you lose balance. So always add some tissue, or you could add like a piece of cloth or a rubber mat beneath the board. Okay, we'll take a fresh bowl. I'll keep this bowl on the side. We do not want cross-contamination. As I said, take a small bowl, keep it here, and then start adding the spices. First what you need is you need the coriander powder. That goes in. Then you need the turmeric powder. Add the red chili powder. Add the salt. Add some oil. It's very easy. Now what I'll do is I'll start shredding the ginger and garlic. For that, what I'll do, I'll bring a green chopping board, put it over here, take the shredder, the thinner side. First I'll shred the garlic and then I'll go in with the ginger. Why? Because if you shred the ginger first, at times what happens is if you get the wrong angle of the ginger, there will be strands. There'll be hair-like strands, but it's not like human hair, it's hair from the ginger, you could say. It's just a term we use. It kind of gets stuck in the blade, and what happens is then the garlic, which will be followed later, will not shred properly. So just follow some steps and slowly and gradually go through it. Always try getting the best grip possible. Why? Because every piece of ginger is shaped differently due to Mother Nature, and wherever you get a good grip, use that and then shred it. Then that way you won't let the ginger slip also. Okay, I'll pick up the knife and I'll just pass it through this. It's properly shredded. Pick it up, transfer it here, just mix it up once. I'll just take a rubber spatula. First I'll just mix it with the oil so that all the flavor, all the spices, they settle in well over here. Mash it, bring it together. This is done. Now what you need is you need some yogurt. Pick up your paring knife, take off the cling wrap on top. I always add the cling wrap now. Why? Because when winters is usually there are insects flying everywhere, and if you're cooking outdoors, try keeping everything which is of use or which is a little bit liquidy or which could attract some insects covered with a cling wrap. Okay, add the yogurt. It's just 5 tablespoons. I've measured it and I've kept it over here, and keep this at the back and mix it up again. Slowly and gradually mix it up. You can move your knife on the side, pick this up and just keep mixing it. Whenever you feel all the spices, all the masalas and all the ginger garlic has mixed well, then you can start applying it to the chicken pieces. I think it's done now. As you can see, just scoop it up once and now we shall go in with the chicken. I'll just take my sweater sleeves up and I'll pick up a fresh bowl, keep it here and bring the chicken now. The chicken is over here. I'll just lift the board up, keep it in my hand and start transferring. Let's take it off the board on which we're actually chopping any form of vegetables. Why? Because you need to be careful with the cross-contamination. Add it over here and keep this on the side. This goes here. Now all the spices shall go, or I'll transfer it over here. Keep this on the side. I'll take off my watch. I basically wear my watch for 2 reasons. Why? Because I need to time myself. So whenever I'm cooking, I'll just keep on timing myself. And the other reason is because I'm used to it. Some people do not wear a watch in the kitchen. That's also fine. But if you're very particular about your time, which you should be when you're a chef, you should always have a timepiece on your hand. Or the other thing is, if you're working in a controlled environment, which is a chef's kitchen, you always have 2-3 clocks around and you can time yourself with that. But over here, because you can't see any walls in Mother Nature, so that's why I need a watch. Okay, this is done. So I'll let it rest for at least, you could say, 1 hour. I'll keep it in the fridge first. And now we shall cut some vegetables so that we could make a paste out of it. This recipe is a paste-based recipe, so you'll need a food processor for this. Remember that. What I'll do is I'll take 2 onions. I've actually cut 3, but I'll take 2 because I always keep 1 as a backup. Okay, so what we'll do is we shall just roughly cut these. So I'll just make around 8 pieces of an onion. And I shall put it in the food processor. So whatever I'm chopping goes in the food processor, and then we'll make a nice paste out of it. But before that, what you need to do is you need some tomatoes to be grilled first. So what I'll do, I'll pick up a frying pan, increase the heat to full, and then I shall add the tomatoes. So what we'll do first is we'll just take the eye of the tomato out, which is over here. If you do not want to take it out, I think that would be a bad idea. Why? Because the eye of the tomato is the most toughest part of the tomato that takes time to break down, and at times it doesn't even break down. Why? Because you can't overcook chicken. If you overcook chicken, what happens is it gets really tough, and that's why people think that what is the reason that when I'm cooking the chicken or I'm having the chicken at home, it tastes different or it's not as soft as I would have eaten it at someone else's place or at a restaurant. Okay, so I'm just roughly cutting into 4 pieces. I'll add some clarified butter. You could say around 3 tablespoons right now, and the rest would go in later. That's around 1.5 tablespoons, and that's around 4 tablespoons. Okay, so this is done. Once this comes to heat, which it is, let it melt properly. What we'll do is we'll take 3 pieces of dried red chilies and we'll just add it to the pan. Okay, I need this to get a little bit sauteed. Why? Because it will bring out the flavor of the red chili and it will add flavor to the recipe also. As you can see, there is a lot of yogurt that has been used in the recipe, which will bring down the spice level of the recipe. So do not worry if you do not like something which is too spicy. This is the dish you can easily have. All the other thing is also, if you want very, very mild, you can take out these red chilies out and you can just rely on those. Okay, so just tilt it, and as you can see now, the oil is hot and the red chilies are frying. The other thing what I'll do now is I'll add the cumin seeds. The cumin seeds go in, tilt it, and as you can see, I'm frying the cumin seeds very nicely. Why? Because I need the flavor to come out. Okay, now I will just give it like 15 to 20 seconds, not more. Why? Because if it gets really, really hot, then they'll start getting burnt. Okay, to get the temperature down, just add the tomatoes in it and let them cook. I'm just frying them, shallow frying them lightly on high heat. Add a little bit of salt, just like season it. Why? Because it will bring the moisture out and will give the tomatoes a nice flavor. I'll keep the remaining salt over here. I'll just move it around, turn the pan towards one end, the clarified butter will come over here, and as you can see, some of the tomatoes are getting deep fried. Then I'll bring the pan at the back and I'll let them deep fry over here. Also not for too long, 5-6 seconds. Why? Because they'll just help in taking out the moisture. This is done. I'll put the stove back to pilot, and now what I'll do is I'll transfer all of this in the food processor. But for that, first what you need to do is you need to transfer it in a bowl. I'll keep the bowl over here and I'll just pick all the tomatoes out. You can see them, they're charred, they're nice, the flavor is going to be really good. Just shake it up a bit. Why? Because you want all the cumin seeds to come towards one end. I'll put this over here and I'll transfer all of this on the room temperature onions. This goes back over here. And now what you should do is you should pick up the tomatoes and transfer it into the jug. I put it over here, add the lid on top and process it once properly to get a nice paste from this. So till the time I'm processing this, you can go for a short break, and once we're back from the break, I'll let you know what to do. Just take a shot and then go for a break. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. During the break, I just waited for you, and the other thing I did was I just took out the chicken and I took out all the paste I made in the food processor over here. I've kept it over here. Now what you need is the other ingredients. Okay, so I used onion, tomatoes, red chili which was dried properly, some salt to taste, and cumin seeds which I fried, and then I put it in a food processor, processed it really well, converted it into a nice paste, and I've kept it over here. The chicken was marinated for at least half an hour. Why? Because we're doing a shoot over here, but if you have time, minimum should be 1 hour, otherwise overnight would be good. Why we marinate it for so long? The chicken gets really soft, really delicious, and the flavor goes till in. Okay, so now the other thing what you need is you need bay leaf, you need some lemon juice, you need some cream which I'll use towards the end. I'll keep it over here. You need around a cup of clarified butter, you need some garam masala, you need some cumin powder, you need some black cardamom, and the other things are empty or we just used them before, and salt to taste. All of these things will be used. Firstly, what we'll do is we'll momentarily fry the chicken in the clarified butter. So we'll bring the pan to heat. I haven't changed the pan or I haven't washed it. Why? The reason behind it is that I want all the flavor of the cumin and everything which I have fried, like the tomatoes, in the pan. This is all the goodness you will not let go to waste, and you shall use it again. Okay, just pull your sleeves up. I'm not too serious. It's just to keep me safe. Okay, so transfer all of this over here. So I've added all the clarified butter over here. It has come to heat. Now what I'll do is I'll start adding the chicken to it, but let the remaining clarified butter melt. Keep shaking it, moving it, and it eventually will melt altogether. Okay, this is done. Now just pick up the chicken pieces and place it in the pan. You just want to give it a nice locked texture of flavor. Eventually what will happen is all the chicken will shrink a bit once it's cooked, so don't worry. I am just giving it some time to cook on one side. Once this is done, increase the heat to full, give it a lid for 2 minutes. I'll just rinse my hands. Okay, you need some coriander fresh towards the end, not right now. So what I'll do is I'll push this back. I'll pick around this much of coriander. I just need around, you could say, 2 tablespoons finely chopped. For this, I shall take the sticks out. This recipe doesn't require the sticks. I've told you before it has a lot of flavor, but every recipe is different. So we're just using the leaves. Fold it up like a cigar, a Cuban one, and just finely chop it. Keep folding it and keep chopping it. Why? Because you want the leaves on the outer side to come in the middle and get a proper texture. This is done. Okay, now we shall just take the chicken out of the pan momentarily. I'll take the lid off and I'll shift it to another empty bowl. Remember that. Okay, so there's the bowl. I'll keep it over here. Take the chicken out, reduce the heat towards the pilot, and just start picking it and keeping it over here. So what I'll do is I'll just pick up a spatula and shift the chicken over here. And then we need to fry the sauce first. Why? Because we want the oil to split and then we shall add the chicken back in. So we just interlock the flavor from one side. You can see it's browning over here. It's not cooked. It's only 20% cooked, and it just gave some of the chicken flavor in the oil, and that's what I wanted over here. We're not going to add any chicken stock. We're not going to add any chicken flavoring or chicken powder or chicken cube. We shall derive it from the chicken we're using in this recipe. So these are the ways you can stop using all these artificial flavors. You can use the fresh chicken you have by frying it in the oil and giving it a chance to flavor the oil itself. I have some coriander on hand. That's all right. I'm just going to rinse that off first, and then I shall continue. I'll keep it over here. Rinse off the coriander. Dry out my hands once and increase the heat over here to full. Just move the pan once and transfer all of this over here. So I'll transfer it. As you can see, it's turned into a jelly-like texture. We'll just break it down and we'll just fry it. We're frying the masala or the spices we've added into this. Do not mix it completely. Why? Because if you start mixing it, the oil will go inside and it won't get a chance to fry. Just like let the oil seep in between what I'm doing over here. Shake it up and let it fry for at least, let's say, 30 seconds. I'm giving a lid, not properly, but I'm just letting it tilt over here. Why? Because the moisture is going to come out. If you put it properly on top, what will happen is the moisture will get caught inside and then it won't get, or it won't give you a proper texture. So momentarily what we'll do is we'll just pick up another plate. So we'll pick up a plate, keep it over here, transfer all of this into the plate and put it here. Now move it. Keep mixing the spices. and take it off the stove. This is done. So now add the wok. Once the wok is on, what you need is around 2 tablespoons of oil. I've kept the oil over here. I'll transfer it over here. Why am I adding the oil? I'll let you know right now. So what we'll do is we shall fry all the remaining spices. Now what are the remaining spices over here? I shall just take this on the side and I'll show you the spices. First we'll add the garam masala, then we'll add the cumin powder, then we'll add the black cardamom, also known as badi ilachi in our own local language, and we shall fry the sage leaves. Okay, so the oil has come to heat. Reduce the heat to pilot. First add the bay leaf, let them fry, add the black cardamom, add the cumin powder to the oil, and then add the garam masala. The garam masala is in. Whatever you don't need goes at the back. Always try keeping your counter clean. Mix it up. Do not increase the heat. Why? Because the pan is already pretty hot. This is done. Now what I'll do is I'll add all the goodness from this pan to this pan. Give it another chance to fry in the limited oil I've added now. Mix it up with the spices. Add some salt to taste, but reduce the heat around a 1/4 teaspoon. Keep it at the back. Now add the chicken into it. Keep this at the back. Try not mixing up things. Mix the spices now properly and coat the chicken with all the flavor. Try scooping it so that you don't break it. Place the chicken in the gravy. And now what I'll do is I'll add around 1 cup of water. I added a cup of water. I shall just mix it very slowly, just like give it a chance to settle in with all the masala. Give this a lid, and now I'll let it cook for around 15 minutes once it comes to boil. It has come to boil actually. What I'll do is I'll reduce the heat to medium-low and let it cook. So till the time this is cooking, we'll clean up and then I'll show you the end result of the recipe. So as you can see, today's recipe is ready. It was chicken changezi, very easy, dates back to the Mughal Empire at the time of the Emperor Babur. I just added 2 pieces of lemon on the side. Why? Because some people do not like the bitter taste of lemon, so you can just place it on the side and they can squeeze it in the end. And on the other hand, I just added some cream on top. Why? Because you want it to be placed on the chicken so that people can have it, not mix it in the dish altogether. Today's recipe was very easy. I'll see you in another episode of Indus Cuisine. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in another episode. Bye-bye.